For most of my life, I thought loneliness was simply the absence of people, and it took nearly 7 decades for that belief to loosen its grip. My name is Eleanor. I'm 70 years old, and looking back, I can see that I have spent much of my life deeply loved while quietly confused about why I still felt so alone. I was born in a small house that always seemed full, even when it was quiet, the kind of place where voices lingered in the walls long after people left. My parents were good, hard-working, and respectable people, the sort you would trust with your keys or your children, and I never doubted that they cared for me. Yet, care and attention are not the same thing. My mother moved through our home like a well-run machine, cooking, cleaning, organizing, smoothing everything into order, and I learned early that love meant not getting in her way. My father came home tired with dust on his boots and a kindness in his eyes that rarely found its way into words, so I learned to read him in glances and gestures instead of conversations. I had siblings who filled every room with laughter and noise, arguments and secrets, and I grew very skilled at being the quiet one, the one who observed, the one who did not make waves, the one who understood that belonging did not require being understood. As a child, I often sat at the window watching the street, not because I wanted to escape, but because I felt clearer when I could see everything from a small distance. I remember once telling my mother that I felt invisible, and she laughed softly, thinking I was being dramatic, reminding me how lucky I was to have such a big family. And in that moment, I tucked my feelings away like something shameful. I learned to measure myself by how useful I could be, how agreeable, how easy, believing that if I did everything right, the emptiness inside me would finally disappear. But it never quite did. When I was 16, I fell in love with the idea of being needed, which led me straight into my marriage with Thomas. He was handsome in a quiet, practical way, steady, dependable, the kind of man who fixed things rather than talked about feelings. We built a life together the way people were expected to in those days, slowly and sensibly, buying a modest home, planting a small garden, filling our weekends with family dinners and church gatherings. I loved him, truly, and he loved me in the way he knew how, bringing me flowers on our anniversary, working long hours so I could stay home with the children, squeezing my hand in public like a promise that we were a team. Yet there were nights when we lay side by side in bed, and I felt miles away from him, as though a thin glass wall sat between us, and I did not have the language to explain why. Motherhood came quickly, 3 children in 5 years, and my days became a blur of school lunches, scraped knees, bedtime stories, and the constant hum of responsibility. I adored my children, their messy hair, their questions, the way they ran to me when they were frightened or excited, but I also lost myself inside their needs. I became so busy caring for everyone else that I forgot how to ask for anything myself, and the loneliness shifted from a quiet ache into something heavier, a weight I carried beneath my smile. People saw me as warm, capable, endlessly patient, and I was, but no one saw how exhausted I felt from holding myself together all the time. In my 40s, I went back to work as a librarian, partly for money, partly because I craved a place where silence was respected. Surrounded by books, I felt less alone than I had in crowded rooms, and I formed a gentle friendship with a woman named Rose, who sat at the same table every morning before her shift at the hospital. We did not share grand secrets, but we spoke honestly, and in those small, ordinary conversations, I felt something I had rarely known, the simple comfort of being listened to without judgment or interruption. It was the first time I realized that loneliness had less to do with how many people were around me and more to do with how deeply I was seen. The turning point came much later, after Thomas passed away, when the house grew too big and too quiet for one person. One evening, I found myself standing by the lake near our old home, the water still and dark, reflecting a sky full of stars, and I felt a strange clarity settle over me. I thought about my childhood, my marriage, my years of raising children, all the moments where I had been surrounded by love and yet silently isolated inside my own heart. It was not that I had been unloved, it was that I had never fully allowed myself to be known, and no one had ever quite reached far enough to meet me in that hidden place. In the years that followed, I began to look back not with bitterness, but with understanding, noticing how I had mistaken busyness for connection and kindness for intimacy. I saw how I had learned to be agreeable instead of honest, how I had shaped myself to fit into other people's expectations, how I had smiled when I wanted to cry, and how that slow self-erasure had deepened my loneliness more than any empty room ever could. I also began to recognize the moments when I had truly been seen, like the afternoon my granddaughter sat beside me and asked what my life had been like before she was born, really asked, not out of politeness, but curiosity, and I felt my chest loosen as I spoke. Now, at 70, I move through the world with a softer kind of awareness, less hurried, more willing to sit with my own thoughts instead of running from them. I still miss Thomas, I still cherish my children, and I am grateful for the life I have lived, but I no longer confuse love with presence alone. I understand that loneliness can exist even in the warmest embrace if the parts of you that matter most are never invited into the light, and I am gentler with my younger self for not knowing that sooner. So, when I speak to you now, I do not pretend to have all the answers. I simply offer you what time has taught me. Pay attention not just to who surrounds you, but to who truly sees you, and be brave enough to show them who you really are. If you have ever felt alone in a crowded room, know that you are not strange or ungrateful or broken. You are simply human, searching for that quiet, steady feeling of being understood. And if you are willing, let yourself be seen a little more than you were yesterday, because in that space, where honesty meets kindness, loneliness finally begins to loosen its hold.